So you want to start investing in real estate this year. Here's how I think you should get started. I think one of the best ways is to buy a duplex, live in one side, and rent out the other. Because with doing that, you're able to get a primary resident loan, which is going to give you a lot more leverage when it comes to the mortgage that you're going to get. You're going to have a better interest rate and have to put less down. When you get a typical investment loan, you have to put 20 to 25% down, and the interest rate is right now is about 7 to 7.5%. So when you live in a property yourself, it's your primary residence, you're able to take advantage of a primary residence loan, which has right now probably around, if you're a first time home buyer, you can find deals as low as like the mid to low fives. If not, they're hovering around the low sixes, and you're able to put less down. So if you want to put 5% down, 10% down, sometimes even 3.5% down, if you get an FHA loan for a duplex, you can do that. So you're able to enter in the investment world more affordably. Then when you buy that duplex, you rent the other side, and that rental income will help pay down your mortgage. Plus, it makes it easy, so if anything happens, you can easily manage it yourself. Sometimes when you get just one property and you want to hire, long-term property managers or any type of property managers, sometimes it just doesn't make sense in your budget compared to what the rental income is and what your expenses are. So if you can manage it yourself, it's probably going to be better, and that way you can learn. But once you start to get more units, definitely hire a property management company. I have a property management company, and it's been a tremendous amount of help and less stress on me. So I highly recommend it, but I do have 18 units. So buying a duplex, renting out one side, living out the other, you do that for a year or two, and then kind of just repeat the process if you can, or you just build up enough equity and money to buy another property. Maybe it doesn't have to be a duplex. You can get a triplex or 4 unit, or if you want to just buy a single family house, you can do that as well. That's one of the easiest ways, I think, to get started in the investment world. Now, let's say you came into some money, you came into some cash, and you want to hit the ground running with real estate investing. Depending on how much money you have, I would recommend the BRRRR strategy. And that's what the strategy I've been doing for the last few years. You buy property cash that needs work, renovate it, rent it out, refinance, and then repeat. And hopefully, during the refinancing part, you get all the money that you have invested in it, including how much the property costs and the renovation costs. You can potentially get all of that money back out. Sometimes people even get more money, depending on how much the value has gone up, how much time has passed. That is a really good way to invest, and it's a strategy that I've been doing. I highly recommend it. But again, you have to have that cash up front, and I think it's really hard for people to do that, obviously. Some ways to get that amount of cash could be to do wholesaling. And I know it's kind of a controversial topic, but wholesaling is pretty much when you go to a seller. You're not a real estate agent. Well, you can be, but assume you're not a real estate agent. You go to a seller and say, hey, I know somebody that is going to buy this property. However, I'm going to put this in contract at this price. And then that wholesaler basically goes and sells that contract, that house, to an investor that maybe the markups for those services are $30,000 for the wholesaler, 20,000, 10,000, whatever it may be. The seller agrees to sell his or hers distressed property to that wholesaler, and that wholesaler has to disclose that he's going to sell it, sell that contract, or another buyer is going to take place and assume this contract at a different price. That is one way to get cash quickly, but you really, really have to hustle and find good deals. And I mean, it takes a lot of hustling and a lot of cold calling, but that is probably the quickest way if you don't just have a bunch of money lying around, if you don't come into a bunch of money. That's probably the quickest way to get started in this strategy, unless if you just make a lot of money in your job itself. But the BRRRR strategy is something that I live by, totally recommend, and it's probably what I'm going to keep doing for the rest of my life. Investing in real estate is really one of the best ways to grow your wealth. You get tax advantages by investing in real estate. You can get passive income. you just get a lot of experience and you're able to hold on to an asset that is going to appreciate. And you can depreciate a lot of it on your taxes. So not only are you getting an asset that's going up in value, someone's paying you for it, paying down your mortgage, you also get to take advantage of it on your taxes. My retirement plan is honestly going to be in my properties. By the time I retire, the properties that I have right now will be paid off, thankfully. So that is my retirement strategy. I do have money invested in the stock market, just a little bit of crypto, but the majority of my retirement is going to be in real estate. But when it comes to investing in general, I just highly recommend investing in stuff that you know. I invest in real estate because I know it. I'm a real estate agent. I've been in the business for almost 6 years. So, this is something that I do have a lot of knowledge and connections in, which help tremendously in your investment career. If you are super knowledgeable about the stock market and companies, then that might be where you want to put your focus on. I don't recommend investing in things that you don't really know anything about, especially if you're investing a lot of money. I don't know a lot about the crypto world or stock market, so I put a small portion in there, but I do know a lot about real estate. So that is just one disclaimer that I have to say. Invest in what you know. That is when you are going to be most successful. If you have any questions about investing or want to get started in the investing world and you don't know how, reach out to me, leave a comment below. And if you are moving to Columbus or needing to sell your house in the Columbus, Ohio area, I would be happy to help you. I am Nikki Schroeder. I'm on the Nicole Yoder Barnhart team at Howard Hanna Real Estate Services.